Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Locatz. Welcome to Communications from Home, which is my weekly evening live stream. I'm trying to do two things at one time. I should just do one, right? All right. So tonight is Tuesday, May 11th, and tonight is our show is all about the MerKaBa and what it is and why we need it, that sort of thing. And so I am double checking something here on my phone, make sure that we are live streaming. We got to go all the way down. Okay, so there we go. Turn down my sound so it doesn't get squelchy. There, good. Looks like we're good to go. Yay! So welcome everybody. I'm so glad you could join me on this gorgeous evening here in northwestern Wisconsin. We had sunny skies, although it only got up to the low 50s here. It's still a little cool. I'm having a problem keeping my Band-Aid on. I put hand lotion on. I think that's the problem. If you watched my earlier live stream, you know I broke a nail pretty badly. All the way down to the quick, they say, and it was actually bleeding. So anyway, that's why I have a Band-Aid on. Tonight's show is one of my topics that I love to share about. Just as much as I love sharing about the drum, I love sharing about the MerKaBa and our way of creating from that space. And so tonight, it's going to be kind of like reminiscent, because as I was preparing for the show, I thought I'm going to bring out one of these books this is the first book I ever bought regarding the MerKaBa, and it was all about the flower of life, the ancient secret of the flower of life, volume 2 by Drunvalo Melchizedek. And honestly, it was the color and this image right here in the center, the flower of life, that grabbed me. And I never had known anything about it before. That was back in 2000, I think it was, the year 2000. And of course, I bought the book at Barnes and Noble. Do you remember that store? Barnes and Noble, back in 2000. They didn't have volume 1. They only had volume 2. So I started out with volume 2. And in volume 2 is all the information about the MerKaBa and the old way of activating and maintaining your MerKaBa. And so that was how I started my journey with this. I had been talking to my spiritual team and in prayers and in meditations about wanting to know about the root on belief systems, especially on religion. Okay. And I wanted to know where does this information really come from? And before it actually hit and went through human filters, right? And once it does that, information does that, it tends to get kind of rethought and sometimes twisted, and sometimes you're wondering, is that really the truth or not? You know? And so that was my early journey, is I really wanted to know the root. I wanted to go back to the source. And this is where my team led me. And when I started studying the MerKaBa, I actually started studying the sacred geometry. And in the sacred geometry is where I found the creation. And yeah, it was and more than just enlightening. I was awestruck. And so I want to share a bit of that with you this evening. And we're going to be talking about just the MerKaBa. There's so much involved with it. So I was trying to keep it kind of manageable for the hour or so that we're together tonight. So first of all, I want to say hi to a couple people here. Here's Julie Shumway Hill. Hello, lady. Julie actually studied with me for the MerKaBa. Rob is here too. Loved and shared. Yay! Thank you. I know you are a rebel. You just deal with it. Gosh darn it, and all the heck. Exactly. Which, thank you, Rob, for reminding me. I did an early share what I did was I sent it over to my personal page and also over to the group that is a part of Star Nation's live stream, and so that people could find us. So thank you for that, Rob. I appreciate it. Holly's here too. Hello, Holly. Good to have you in the house. And Karen's here too. Hello, Karen. Yay. And Tabitha's here too. Hello, Tabitha. It's always good to have you in the house. And look who else is here. Hello, Neshi. Yes. Hello, Rochelle. And thank you for letting us know about being grounded. That's one of the things that helps so much, right? When we are just living our everyday lives, period. No matter what's going on out there, when we're grounded and balanced, it's so much easier to take what's all the stuff that's going on out there, right? So thank you, Rochelle, for sharing that with us. I appreciate it. Okay, so we have a lot to cover tonight. Yeah, and so what I wanted to do was just to make it extremely basic. Okay, so some of you that have been studying with me for a while, and some of you who've been studying this information for a while may find it like, oh, really? I thought you're going to talk about something more in depth. And we can. Just make sure you put your questions in for me in the comments, okay? And I will make sure that we try to answer those within this hour. But the information that I'm giving you is really the primer, okay? The prime information. So what is the MerKaBa? That was, I think, everybody's first question to me is, what is it? And honestly, the MerKaBa is an energy field that's around us. Okay, when it's activated, when it's around us, it's a counter-rotating energy field tuned to the earth and at the speed of 9/10 the speed of light. So it's spinning extremely fast, so fast, right? And that counter rotating field is our vehicle for ascension. It is a vehicle that helps us to move from one dimension to another. Yeah. So we don't necessarily have to leave our physical body to ascend. Now, some people would say, oh, that's not true. Well, it depends on our belief system, right? And so when I was first on this journey, this information pushed me to the edge, to the very edge of my belief systems. And I had to sit with it for some time, and say, could this be true? Could this really be true? And I would be asking, I'd be praying about it. It's like, show me, is this the truth, the divine truth, not someone else's truth, but the divine truth. And what it boiled down to me is that I had to take a look at my very basic belief in how creation is done and how we came to be here. Now, y'all know I'm Native American, right? And so in Native America, there's over 505, no, is it 5? Yeah, I used to know this number right off the top of my hat. There's over 500 tribally recognized nations, in federally recognized nations in the United States. And each one of these nations all have somewhat of a different creation story and how we came to be here, right? And so there's variances, and some of them are completely different from each other. And then when you include other religions and other belief systems in here, then you can kind of see how there's a vast number. And when I first started studying this information about the MerKaBa, I realized that this is one more kind of creation story. So we can sit with it for a while and see what it feels like to you. Okay, I'm not here to convince you of one way or another. The path that I walk is to see if it's a truth for me. If it's a truth for me, then I'm good to go. So that is my suggestion to you. Anything you hear tonight, ask yourself, your higher self, your soul, if it's a truth for you. because I'm not here to convince you one way or the other. I'm just here to kind of give you some information for you to chew on. Okay. All right. So the MerKaBa, there are many, many beings in the universe. Okay. And there are many, many planets in the universe. And each planet has its own form of MerKaBa that the inhabitants of that planet also carry the same MerKaBa. So for our planet, our star here, Grandmother Earth, she happens to carry a tetrahedral MerKaBa, which means that all of us, all of her children, all have the same MerKaBa because we have to be tuned to her. Okay? All right. So that made sense to me because even if you were not a very spiritual person, and you're more a scientific person, you could certainly see how our physical body is very similar to Earth's physical body, right? That we are, we clean our own body with our pancreas and our liver and our kidneys and, and that sort of thing, right? Well, and Mother Earth, Grandmother Earth, she also does that. And so you can kind of see how we're very much in her, we're her children, literally. Our brain waves have to match her, okay? Science will back that up. So when we're living here with her, we have to have a tetrahedral MerKaBa. And some of you may wonder, what is a tetrahedral MerKaBa? A tetrahedron is a triangle. Okay. And so if you can kind of see that there is a triangle with the yellow one or the goldish color one, that the apex is facing down and the purple one there's facing up. Now this is a three-dimensional drawing. Okay. So the star tetrahedron really is our MerKaBa, and our physical body is right in the center of that. All right. Now, here the thing is that remember, this is an energy field, and it's rotating really, really fast at 9/10 the speed of light. Extremely fast. It's so fast that you can't see it. You can feel it if you turn your awareness to it. If you have an activated MerKaBa and you turn your awareness to it, you can feel it, but you can't see it with your human eyes, right? Now, in this journey that I was on in the early 2000s, when I first activated my MerKaBa, I was helping out a friend, Carol Daly. Some of you know her. She wanted to do some trance work, right? And so she has been doing hypnosis work for, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 decades, really. And so I said, sure, I can help you. So I was helping her do some she was I was in a hypnosis and going through a trance state. Okay. And I didn't tell her this is what I wanted to know, but I was talking to my team before I actually went under. And that was, I wanted to know, I wanted to see, feel, sense my MerKaBa. And so here I am, I'm in this trance state. And the very first thing that I realized is that I was so dizzy. I was so dizzy, and it felt like I was on a tilt-a-whirl. Okay, but a lot faster. And that was just a taste. It wasn't even the actual spinning of it. And so that sensation of that spinning, yeah. Yeah. I know recently when I had my my COVID-19 shot, I did the Johnson 1 shot, right? And I got dizzy. That was very close to what I experienced in that trance state. Very, very dizzy. And so the the tetrahedral MerKaBa is actually part of the flower of life, about the Metatron's cube, right? And so this is just a three-dimensional drawing of what your star tetrahedron looks like. Now, some people might recognize it by other names other than the MerKaBa. You might notice it by the Star of David or King Solomon's seal, right? Yeah, there we go. And so this field, this counter-rotating field, it is huge. Your MerKaBa field, when it's activated, is actually 55 to 60 feet in diameter. So that's huge. That's a huge field. Think about that. So literally, your MerKaBa field enters many more areas, physical areas, before you actually show up. And so one of the things the MerKaBa does is that brings in information, both seen and unseen information for you. And you're able to connect with that information as it filters through, and it will actually help you understand the unseen information. So those of us that are sensitives, those of us that are empaths, right? That before we even show up someplace, we get a reading about where we're headed. And the MerKaBa is one of our protective shields. It's impenetrable. There's 5 layers of light around you. And so as an empath, it's not that I don't feel the energies. It's just that they're more selective. I don't have to feel everything that's out there. It's more selective. It's only energies that's meant for me and meant for me to know about. Okay. Yeah. So it means that, you're just because you have an activated MerKaBa doesn't mean that you're not going to feel anything and you're not going to have any emotions or anything like that. It just means that when something does occur, it's meant especially for you and for you to be able to heed it, is to be with it, to study it, to understand it. Okay. All right. I'm going to get caught up with everybody here. Hey, Cindy's here too. Yeah. Oh, that's Rob. Yes, I am. Rob, I am. And Cindy says our own personal spaceship. Yes, it is a vehicle. In fact, in modern Hebrew, Cindy, the word MerKaBa can translate to God's throne or the throne of God, or chariot, which is also a vehicle, right? So some of you may have seen the movie The Mummy with Brendan Fraser, okay? And Imhotep, he was supposed to be a high priest, right, out of Egypt. And there's a scene with him, his soul, coming down a spiral staircase in a chariot. All right. And so when I first saw that, I thought, oh, they're depicting his MerKaBa, because every spirit, every soul has a MerKaBa. Depending on if you're on a certain planet or in a certain part of the universe, your MerKaBa might have a different geometrical shape. But here on Earth, it will be a star tetrahedron. Okay. Now, every spirit will have a MerKaBa, but not every spirit will have a physical body. Make sense? So our spiritual teams that are here working with us, they're in spirit, but they're here on Earth with us, right? In this dimension, they're crossing over from dimension to dimension. And so they have a tetrahedral MerKaBa as well. I know. Think about that one. And Deanna is saying, hello, Neshi. Thank you for your sovereignty, my love. Aw, You're so welcome. Thank you for being here, Deanna. Karen says, if we all have a MerKaBa and can shift our awareness to feel it, isn't it already activated? What's activated mean? Oh, that's a good question, Karen. That's a good question. All right, so here's part of the creation story. So how the earth was seeded, okay, how beings came to be here, was, and some of you may have read this through Cryon, all right, is that the early beings here, physical beings here on Earth, were meant to be miners. They mined gold for the Anunnaki, and so for us we were given the opportunity through genetic engineering to be able to create our own children, so that we could resupply the slavery, literally. Okay, and in that genetic engineering, one of the things that happened is that they deactivated the MerKaBa. Doesn't mean that we don't carry the seed of the MerKaBa. It just means that the seed isn't activated, it's deactivated. And so that was part of our spiritual growth here as souls, was to remember how to create and how to reactivate the seed. That's called the MerKaBa. Now, if we speed forward thousands and thousands and thousands of years to today's date, there are many people who have activated MerKaBas. Some people, like me, we studied and we did the activation, consciously did the activation. And in those days, we only activated the MerKaBa using our minds, which meant that they were created in a polarity field. Okay, so that meant that it took us some time to stabilize it, and we had to wait for it to go permanent. And in order to do that, we had to consciously put ourselves and keep ourselves at the frequency of love. Right. So we're born with the seed, but we're not necessarily activated our MerKaBa. Now, if we fast forward even closer to this time frame, because so many souls have done their work here in their physical bodies and a lot of healing, it's easier to be in that frequency of love. It's easier to maintain the frequency of love, although because we're human, we do some of these things with that frequency, right? And so one of the things that Drunvalo was given, my teacher, Drunvalo Melchizedek, was given years ago, back in the 70s actually, by the Ascended Masters, was how to be able to activate the MerKaBa. And to be able to activate the MerKaBa from the unified field. And that's what we call the organic MerKaBa. That's one of the very first things that we learn how to create, is to create from that unified field, which is in our hearts, at the frequency of love. And so when we're able to do that kind of activation, the MerKaBa is automatic. It automatically activates because you're consciously doing it. It activates and it's permanent. Yeah. In the old days, when I first activated mine, I had to do a meditation every day for 90 days to keep the MerKaBa up and then for it to go permanent. And if you missed a day, you had to start all over with the 90 days. And after 20 days, 21 days, it was, it felt good, because basically what we were doing was we were clearing and balancing our chakras, and we were, putting ourselves in that frequency of love, and it felt good. So you really wanted to do it. At the beginning, it wasn't, because it was, it was work. It was real work. But that was a good question. Thank you for asking that. I hope I answered it for you. Tabitha said it's related to the astral travel. Somewhat. You are astro traveling no matter if you have your MerKaBa activated or not. That's just what we do. That's a lot of our soul work is done while our physical body is at rest and sleeping. Okay, and you can do that kind of travel with or without a MerKaBa. With a MerKaBa, it just means that it's safer. It's safer. You don't necessarily have to run into lower vibrational energies um, without help. Now, generally speaking, your spiritual team will also go with you on your astral travels, whether you have a MerKaBa or not, and they'll help you, and they'll help you stay as safe as possible. Okay, um, but with the MerKaBa, it's more of a conscious travel about knowing that you're able to go from one dimension to another, so that when you're in your meditations, you're consciously going to different dimensions. And when we first started this, Tabitha, everybody understood the third dimension, and we were reaching for the fourth and fifth. And so most of us were doing those movements to the fourth and fifth dimension, and then coming back to the third. I can tell you one thing for sure, though, Tabitha, is having an activated permanent MerKaBa, doing my soul work and what I do in still living in the third dimension, right, back then, is that it made it easier. It made it easier. These days, most people, especially in Star Nation's community, I can say that we're probably either going from the lower fourth to the upper fourth dimension. Some people are in the fifth dimension. Sometimes we do drop back down to the third dimension. Okay, if you don't have an activated MerKaBa, dropping into the third dimension, because it's denser, sometimes that's our slipping back into it, right? And we know when we've done it because we don't like it. It doesn't feel good. Doesn't feel good. Rob is saying that would be pretty handy to have. I registered for the class. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. The June 17th through the 20th class here at Star Nations in Tomah, Wisconsin. We're going to be doing the class Journey to Remembering, which is based on the work of Drunvalo Melchizedek when I was one of his teachers. And we're going to be activating our MerKaBa. But first of all, we're going to be doing a whole lot of learning about sacred geometry and healing. Mm-mm-mm. And April's here too. Hi, April. Good to have you here. Karen said, answered beautifully. Thank you. You're welcome. So here, the other thing that I wanted to share with you about the MerKaBa is that so the energy, the fuel, if you will, to activate the MerKaBa, and especially if you're activating it with only from your brain, from the mind, in order to keep it activated and up, is love. And so when you activate your MerKaBa from when your heart is connected to your mind, when the two are together, and you're coming from your high heart, is that the love is what is the fuel to do that. And it is the love frequency that that we're all drawn to, right? And if you've ever done the unity breath meditation with me, and I explain what that meditation is, and that we're taking in universal energy, chi, prana, right? And it comes down through what's called a crystalline tube. And so that crystalline tube goes down through the center of us, down right straight through our chakras. And we bring in, it flows down through the top and up through the bottom, that universal energy. So it's in that constant flow. It's constantly flowing through us. The universal energy is already at the frequency of love. So we have love flowing through us all the time. all the time. And when we're consciously aware of it and we turn our attention to it, to sense it, it can shift your energy. It can shift your mood, okay? Because we're consciously aware of it. When we're unconsciously aware of it, it's like ignoring synchronicities, right? It's like ignoring when you're getting those nudges. Yeah. So if we turn our attention to it, we'll find ourselves always in that frequency of love. Why can't we hold it at that frequency? It's because we're human and we live in an atmosphere, an energy field of polarity called Earth. Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, I think that, and this is just my 2 cents, okay, that the reason why we chose to be here was to remember how to maintain and keep ourselves in balance and grounded, and to be able to recognize polarity but not be in polarity. Makes sense to me. That's what drew me to this work all those years ago. Okay, so and so the thing is that, as going back to Karen's question, is that, as long as you're in that frequency of love and you are able to maintain it, activating your MerKaBa could be as easy as breathing. Thing is that we have to remember how to use it, how to drive it. The Drunvalo used to use this metaphor, or maybe it's an analogy, is that having someone activate their MerKaBa and not teaching them how to use it and how to drive it is like putting a toddler in a Mack truck, dump truck, and telling them to drive it. Because the energy field of the MerKaBa is so big. It's 55 to 60 feet in diameter, right? And that it can help you do so much while you're working on your soul contract. And so, yeah, and so activating it's one thing, but remembering why it's important to have it and how to use it when we have it. That's important. That's important. Now, I have to remind you that just because you have an activated MerKaBa doesn't mean that you're not going to experience emotional pain. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be angry or that you're not going to feel fear, right? It just helps you to bring in the information and understand it better when you are looking for answers and being grounded. See, I don't do the grounding meditation every day. The one that I taught you guys how to do is because I have an activated MerKaBa. I'm grounded all the time. Now, does that mean that my chakras don't get out of balance? Sometimes. I mean, when you have a trauma happen, it can shake you up still. But it's easier to get back into balance. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay. Deanna says, oh my, such a beautiful information. Thank you. I wish I could attend the class and we'll know soon. Oh, okay. Well, good. Put it out there, Deanna, if that's what. Okay. Here is something that happened, Diana. I'm going to tell you a little story. Okay. So, I activated my MerKaBa back in the early 2000s. And back then, Drunvalo had Flower of Life facilitators. And I was studying and reading the books and, listening to tapes, videotapes and all kinds of stuff back then. And I thought, I think it'd be kind of fun to be one of his teachers, Flower of Life teachers. Well, what happened was that he was no longer training Flower of Life students. In fact, that part of his classes dropped away. All right. And it was really hard to get into a Flower of Life class. I tried. And most of the training for that was happening down in Mexico. But every time I tried to get into one of the classes, something would happen where I'd stop. Either I didn't have the money to register, or for the flight, or there wasn't the flight that was available wasn't going to get me there in time. Hotel was a situation, so there was always something, right? Well, in 2006, I think it was, or maybe it was 7. Anyway, we had already moved here to Poinet, and I was online, and somebody sent me something about Drunvalo, and it was like he was teaching a class, and it was Awakening Illuminated Heart, and they're holding it in Sedona. Sedona? Oh my gosh. Okay, here's what I said to myself, Dan. I said, I'm going. I could feel it. I knew I had to be there. And so I said, I'm going. And I talked to my team and I said, if it's in my highest and best good that I attend that class, I need your help to bring me every support and resource that I need to make it to that class. Meaning I needed the money, I needed the dog care, I needed stuff to be able to be there. And it all lined up. And so I went. And that's was my very first class with Drunvalo. And then I didn't even realize that he was training teachers until I got there. And somebody asked me, are you going to train to be a teacher? And I said, well, I didn't know that it was even available. It was on the plane ride home that my team is telling me that I was going to be studying and I would be becoming one of his teachers, and showed me exactly what I needed to do to get that done. So I'm telling you this, Deanna, because if you're meant to be here and you can feel it, you can sense it, right? Is working with your team. And if you're meant to be here, you'll be here. That's all I have to say. Because it always works out. It always does. And Deanna said the Harvard School of the Soul, Earth. Yes, exactly. It is not an undergraduate degree. It is an advanced degree, and we're all here together. Holly said, I read that Earth is one of the more advanced schools for souls to come to learn. Yes. Yes, it is that PhD program. It really is. It's not elementary. Rob said, shouldn't one meditate every day? Yes. Yes. For a lot of reasons. But the most important reason is to have that conscious connection to your higher self and to spirit. That's the most important reason. Yay, same thing. How? Absolutely. Okay. Now, all right. So one of the things that is talked a lot about in studying the MerKaBa is that the ancients, our ancient ancestors, already knew this. Rob is saying, I got my PhD in tautology from. Thank you for sharing. All right. So our ancient ancestors knew about this already. In so many ways, in our blood and in our bones, we're carrying this already, right? It's a matter of remembering. And it's nothing that we have to literally learn as much as what learning we do is how to heal, what to heal. How many times have you guys heard me say it's so important for us to heal our mental and emotional traumas? That is what we're learning about, right? That is what we are busy doing, is our soul work, and that part of that soul work is our healing work on ourselves. Yeah. And when we heal those traumas, what happens layer after layer after layer is that we get closer and closer and closer to our original frequency that we came in with. And we begin to remember lots of our personal story, our soul, why we're here and what we're meant to do here. Yeah. So it helps to it clears the path, right? Clears the path, and it helps us to consciously maintain that frequency of love. Yeah. It's all about that compassion thing, when we're talking about healing and being compassionate. All right. I talked about the polarity, that polaric field. Okay. So one of the things that I wanted to share with you, for those who are interested, let's see, I want to make sure I do this right. Hit the right button. This is the class that Rob was talking about. It's going to be here. It's going to be a smaller class than usual. It's my second in-person class that I'll be teaching here. And so we are going to keep the class size smaller so that one is that I can monitor my own physical energy, because I'm all about healing my adrenals, and and it also gives us a chance to share more, right? Because it's a smaller class. So smaller class meaning probably only 6 to 7 people. And I'll put the gotta scroll down a little bit. Here we go. And so this is the website link that if you want more information about the journey of remembering class with me on June 17th through the 20th. Visit Star Nation's website at starnations.org. Click on the Academy button, and you'll see the information there, more information about what the class is about, and also how to register. And I put that in the comments. Love to have you here, if you can make it, if you're meant to be here, right? And see, that one of the other things that I help with during the show is that I have been sharing past issues of Star Nations magazine, because we have a really deep archive of information, and all of our writers are spiritual teachers, and they share a lot of their personal experience and knowledge through their articles. And so whenever I've had a topic here of late, what I do is I end up sharing with you a couple of the past issues that, if you want to have more information, maybe coming from a different perspective, that it's available to you. Okay. And I'm sharing it through our partners at MerKaBa, and they're the ones, our partners, who provide the magazine in print on demand, but they also offer it in PDF, digital, and web viewer. And what is a web viewer? Everybody asks me that. That is, you can download it onto your download it into the cloud, okay, and or MagCloud will keep it on their cloud for you, because you have to do an account with them, but it's free. It's free. The app is free, and so you can read the magazine however you like to read magazines. And so I need to do a little something here. Gotta make some room. And so I have, I think, 3 or 4 different magazine issues for you, and I was going to download them, but I didn't have enough room on my screen. So I have to do it this way. All right. It was so much easier when Rob used to be my producer. He'd have all of this stuff ready. Okay. I got to go to the pictures. And here we go. And the May 11th. That is one of them. And I'm gonna upload at least a couple of them here so we can just really take a nice look at the covers. Because some of them I've written, others were featured articles, one by Jan Beaver that wrote about the MerKaBa. And so I thought it would be nice to be able to share with you those issues. So you can see the cover, and if you want, it's up to you if you want to do it, is to purchase that particular issue. They're $2.99 digitally. Okay. So first of all, we're going to do this one. And this is the May 2016 issue number 34. And in that particular issue is all about the MerKaBa. All of these are something about the MerKaBa. And I am going to put past issues in the comments and the link, so that you have that in case you want to do that. Oops, do that. There we go. So the May 2016. I know it was a long time ago, but still, it's a good one. And the next one is May 2018. May 2018. You know, and a lot of these also have Ortrunes. Ortrunes meditations in them. Here's another one. I love this cover. And it's the October 2017. And I believe in this one, I'm writing about the indigenous look at the MerKaBa, if I remember right. Don't you love that cover? It's one of my favorites. Okay. In fact, we're going to do this. Okay. And then the next one, the last one is this one. It's February 2017. Yeah. So if you want to read a little bit more about the MerKaBa, there's articles in these particular issues that are available, and hopefully you'll be able to see or sense the different perspectives about it. Yeah. You know, when I do this kind of prep work for the show, it's amazing to me at how many issues we have and which ones to choose, because you know it goes all the way back to 2013, and so I have to spend a little time with which ones those are. Okay, so with the MerKaBa, it is your energy vehicle, and the Mer of MerKaBa, M-E-R, the Mer, I'm going to write that in there, is the counter rotating field of light. That's what Mer means. And of course, the Ka is spirit, and Ba, body. You break that word down, MerKaBa, right? Oh, and I can't. I'm typing with a Band-Aid on my finger. There we go. That's a little bit better. And that your MerKaBa is 55 to 60 feet in diameter, and that diameter is right around the hip area. And so it shoots out 55 feet, 60 feet in diameter, and it's counter rotating, right? And it's energized by love. Yeah. So can you imagine? Can you imagine when you have an activated MerKaBa and you have this large field and you go into a store and you light it up? Literally, you don't have to do or say anything. You're just being there. We did this we're in Door County. Those of you that are familiar with Wisconsin, Door County is a very touristy place on the eastern side of the state. And I can't remember what town we were in. I think it was Little Sister Bay. And I could hear wind chimes, right? Wind chimes, they were tinkling. And it's not the only store that had wind chimes. But I was following the sound, and it was on this kind of mulchy kind of footpath, right? And so Paul and I are walking down this path, and I could feel it. I could feel this store, and I'm walking down that way, and it was a little store right at the end of this footpath. And I walked in, and it was a metaphysical store. And of course, I'm going, yay, metaphysical store. And Paul and I were kind of walking around, poking around, seeing what was there. And there was nobody there but us. And I'm talking to the store owner and asking her about the metaphysical stuff in Door County, and where do the locals go for this kind of stuff. And so we're chatting. I bought a few, put a few things on the counter that I was going to buy. And little by little, inch by inch, more people started coming into the store until the store was full. And as I'm checking out, the store owner looks at me and she says to me, she goes, I would hire you to come to the store every day for a half an hour and just have people come in, follow you in. And she goes, this is unbelievable. And I said, well, a lot of it has to do with the MerKaBa. And I said, what feeds the MerKaBa, what keeps it up? It's spirit. It's food for the spirit, and that's love. And so wherever you go, you leave this trail of the energy of love. You just do. Why? Because that is what we are. That is what we are. We are love. And if we can just remember that, can you imagine how much we can change what's going on around here? Yeah. So I'm just glad you guys were here tonight with me. Thank you so much for being here on a Tuesday evening with me as we share about the MerKaBa and why it's important for us to have it. It has so much to do with what we're meant to do here with our soul contract and how we can carry out our soul contract in a way that is for our highest good, right? Yeah. And in the MerKaBa, what happens with that is that it becomes our number one go-to tool. Whenever we are faced with a challenge, whenever we're wondering what the heck is going on, I used to think when I first activated my MerKaBa, I was like, "Whoa, wait a minute! How did this get through?" And then I remembered that we're here to experience. And so whatever comes through the MerKaBa is meant for us, for our soul growth, and meant for us to study, meant for us to master, and so it helps us to focus our attention, right? Yeah. Hi, Jane. This has been fascinating. Sadly, I have to go. I know we're almost near the top of the hour. Thank you, Jane, so much for being here. I do appreciate it. And so next week, you guys, I'm hoping you can join me next week because you know why? I have 4 guests next week. Yeah, they're all authors from Star Nations Publishing. So we're going to have Minnie Kansman here with her book, Missing Nana. We're going to have Ortune Franklin here with her book, Key of Life. We're going to have Julie Hedges here with her book, The Tarot Journey. And also Madonna DePaulo is going to be here with her book, The Sound Weavers. And I haven't had our 4 authors together in one spot in a couple of years. And so join me next week for that. We're going to be talking about their books, of course, but also why did they choose? Why did they want to become authors? What was that for them? And what can they share with us for those of us who want to be an author? We have a book in us. And so how do we do this? Where do we go with it? Kind of thing. So you can join me next week. And Cindy said, is it electric magnetic? Well, it's yes and no. Yes and no. Because actually, Cindy, there's a couple of different fields of the MerKaBa. We actually have 3 of them that comprise one. So they're superimposed over each other. Okay, so it only looks like one. There's the male, the female, and the neutral. And so one of them is electric. Yes. Yes, and it's all about balance. It's all about helping us to navigate through a polarity where we are surrounded by a unified field. Does that make sense? I hope so. Got to come to the class. I can tell you more about it then. Okay. Thanks for that asking it, Cindy. And Deanna says, blessings and love, gratitude and all. You too, Deanna. And we'll see you next week for Communications from Home, right here at Star Nations Organization's main fan page, Communications from Home at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Next week, May 11th. Hope you can join us. Bama Mina, that's Potawatomi for until we see each other again. I love you guys.